My hair was falling out in the shower every single day. I would have handfuls of hair every time I went to wash it. And I was able to stop my hair from falling out and regrow all of it without any prescription pills and without flying to Turkey. In this video, I'm gonna break down everything that I did to get my hair back, and hopefully some of this stuff can work for you too. I'm gonna walk you guys through my own story. I was 25 years old when this started happening to me, which I thought was way too young, but my dad's bald. I probably should have seen this coming. So here's everything that I did to make sure I had my hair. Before we get into fixing the hair loss, we have to understand where it's coming from. And for most guys, it's coming from DHT production, which stands for dihydrotestosterone. Think of this as the supercharged testosterone, testosterone's evil twin, that if they had two carbon copies, but one was just a dickhead, that's DHT. Now, on average, most guys are going to convert about 5 to 10% of their natural testosterone into DHT. This conversion happens from a little enzyme in the body called 5-alpha reductase, and the only reason that matters is because that conversion a lot of times happens in the scalp. This also happens in the skin and the prostate, which is why a lot of guys with high DHT end up having prostate issues. DHT is responsible for all of the effects we think about when we think of testosterone. Deeper voice, more masculine, more confidence, all of those androgenic responses come from DHT, one of those being androgenic alopecia, which is male pattern baldness. The reason this happens is DHT is way stronger than regular testosterone. It binds to your androgen receptors 5 times stronger than regular testosterone. So it's going to put out a super strong signal for growing a beard, deepening your voice, building more muscle, and increasing your sex drive. Sounds kind of cool, huh? But it comes with a cost. For a lot of guys, it's their hair. Think of your testosterone to DHT ratio like a tequila soda. When I used to drink a lot of alcohol, I drank a lot of tequila soda. Your testosterone is your soda. That's what you want most of the drink to be made up of. But it's not going to be anything without that little bit of tequila. That's your DHT. Now, if you let the tequila get too high because it sounds like a good time, it's going to be great. You're going to feel all these great masculine effects. All of a sudden, you're blacked out. And in this case, your hair's gone. That's the ratio you want to play when you're measuring your testosterone to your DHT. You just want a little bit. Now, when I was drinking alcohol, if I was using this example, I would be bald Mr. Clean because I would fill mine up about 50-50. If baldness runs in your family, DHT is usually the prime culprit and it's the #1 thing to watch out for. DHT becomes the villain of the scalp because it's going to take up space at all your hair follicles and it's going to squeeze them holes tighter and tighter until there's no room left to grow, and that's when you start experiencing the balding. Typically, it's going to happen in the front and the corners of your head as well as on the crown up top here. That's where we see most areas of male pattern baldness. This is happening to way more guys now than it was 20-30 years ago, because for the longest time, this was purely genetics, and that still plays a huge role today. But now we have all of these external factors that are making it even more difficult to keep our hair, with all the microplastics in our food, all of the things that are disrupting our hormones and putting strain on our hair follicles. In conjunction with your DHT production, it's a recipe for baldness. Not to mention now, almost everybody's got to be on hormone replacement therapy because our hormones have been so disrupted to the point that we can't even produce our own testosterone. So everybody's having to get their hormones artificially. And one of the biggest side effects people are seeing on that when they're mismanaging it is an uptake in DHT production, causing guys to go bald earlier. I do want to make an important distinction. TRT does not cause baldness in people who are not susceptible to it. All it will do is increase the speed at which it happens if you are going too high on your dose. Now, I know this all sounds scary and it sounds super negative, but all hope is not lost. I have gone through the gambit on every product, every treatment, everything that is out there on hair loss. I'm here to tell you what worked for me and what didn't work for me and what you might be able to try for yourself to get the same results. Step #1, you have to stop the leak. My biggest mistake in the beginning was I kept trying to regrow my hair, but it didn't matter because it was just going to keep falling out. The first step in any hair loss protocol, stop the hair loss at the source. One of the most popular ones you'll hear about is finasteride as well as minoxidil. These are 2 prescription DHT blockers and they work really well. Finasteride is going to block your 5-alpha reductase, if you remember that enzyme from the beginning of the video, that is causing the conversion to DHT. But be warned with finasteride, when that happens, you're also turning off the other benefits of DHT, which can be your sex drive. So there's people that get what's called finasteride syndrome, or they have extreme sexual dysfunction. Now, it's not everybody, it's actually not even a majority of people, but it is something to look out for, and it's not a risk I was willing to run. And the reason I didn't want to do minoxidil is that if you ever stop taking it, your hair loss not only comes back, but it comes back worse than it would have if you had just never taken the drug. That did not sound enticing to me. There are people on the internet who disagree with that. That's just from what I've seen from the sources I trust, say that that's the case. Finasteride, I have seen mixed results, but most people say that finasteride, you only just return back to the hair loss that you would have experienced had you have never taken the drug. It doesn't rebound or come back worse than it would have. And to be brutally honest with you, I probably would have gotten to the point where I would have taken finasteride if this next thing I did didn't work so well, and that is ketoconazole shampoo. This is an antifungal shampoo that gently lowers your DHT at a topical level. I use it in the shower twice a week, and I have seen a dramatic reduction in my hair loss. So I get all the benefits of blocking DHT locally without getting the effects on the rest of my body. Kind of like having a beautiful garden, but you've got some dandelions that are causing your problems. So you spray some weed killer just to get rid of the dandelions without getting rid of the good flowers. Never thought you'd see gardening references on this page, but your boy's got the green thumb. My hair shedding has effectively almost come to a stop. I would say it's probably 95% less than what it was before, just for making this one switch. Now, before this, I was trying different things on Amazon like saw palmetto, as well as some other over-the-counter DHT blockers. They work a little bit, but it wasn't enough to really stop the root of the problem. For ketoconazole shampoo was that difference maker. It's also important to note, I don't have any brand deal with ketoconazole. Actually, if they're interested and they're watching this video, I would love to, but I don't make any money from them. This is actually just what worked for me. Okay, now at this point, let's assume that you've stopped the shedding of your hair, whether you've gone to ketoconazole or you had to go all the way to something like finasteride or minoxidil. You found something to stop the shedding from happening. Now we go into regrowth. I tried all the different supplements you see online, from the biotins, the hair regrowth formulas, the everything. It's mostly all garbage. I haven't found really anything that's actually going to create new hair follicles. It would be pretty difficult for a supplement to do that. However, if anyone's got one that they think really works, I will always be open to trying things. I am not the end-all be-all. My job is really just to try all this stuff and let you guys know what happened to me. But the one that did work the best is stem cell microneedling directly into the scalp. I first tried this with PRP, and I did actually notice some results. A lot of people say PRP is kind of like the junk version of stem cell, and they are right. But my first 2 times I did this, I actually got PRP into the scalp. And the whole point of the microneedling is to reopen the hair follicles in the head. So it uses a bunch of tiny little needles, kind of like a tattoo gun, but on a bigger level. And it's injecting the stem cells or PRP or whatever you're putting in there directly into the scalp. And its job is to now regrow your own hair follicle out of that hole, which sounds kind of wacky, I know, but at the end of this treatment, you're going to have a whole forehead full of blood, but you will have new hair follicles that come out. And I've done this treatment 3 times, twice with PRP, once with stem cell. And I can tell you firsthand, this stuff works. My hairline is virtually completely back. I mean, at one point, my corners were way back here, and now I've got all of my hair back. But there was a time where these were pretty, I would say right about here was bald, which sucked. I mean, like, I was 25 years old and I looked like I had the hairline of a 35 or a 45-year-old. It's demoralizing to your confidence, and those of you that deal with this understand the pain. Just your hair makes such a difference to your face. And if you don't think so, go on Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram, find the bald filter and see what you look like when you're bald. You will move a lot faster on this. At the end of the day, you can always fly to Turkey for stuff like this, but I was a big fan of the stem cell regrowth because you can do it anywhere. I have it at my clinic here in Florida. This is something we offer. Now, I'm not telling you this because I want all of you guys to start flying to Tampa, Florida. I'm telling you that this is just genuinely what. Had the stem cell therapy not worked, I probably would have gotten the flight to Turkey and just bit the bullet and gotten the hair transplant. But this was really nice to identify as an alternative as opposed to having to make the trip to Turkey. The way the stem cells work is it's filling those new hair follicles with growth factors, pumping them so that your hair that already would have naturally grown out of that follicle is the same hair that's growing out now. Typical turnaround time on something like this will be between 8 and 12 weeks is when you can start seeing the baby hairs come around the hairline. I get mine directly on the hairline in the corners where I was having the issues, and it's about a 3-month process before you really start to see it. Now, with the PRP, if you don't know already, is platelet-rich plasma, which is taken from your own blood and then spun to separate the plasma from the blood itself. And then they use that plasma and inject it into your hair follicle. Now, this works really good if you're someone who's younger and your plasma isn't damaged yet or old or used. But if you're a little bit older and you got a little bit more balding than most guys, the PRP is, in my opinion, not going to be as effective. It worked pretty well on me just because when I started it, I was 5 years old. My plasma was still strong and good. But for those of you guys who might be a little bit older, it might not be your best treatment. Regardless, PRP is going to take anywhere from 4 to 6 months to start seeing results. It's a much longer timeline. If I'm you, I'm just going for the stem cell. It's a little bit more expensive, but it requires less treatments than the PRP, so you do end up saving money and a boatload of time. It is important to note before we get into step 3 that if you're someone who is completely bald and you have been for the last 15 years these treatments are not going to work. I believe your only option left is probably to get the hair transplant in Turkey. This is really for people who are starting to see the baldness, or it's been maybe a couple years. But if you're all the way clean on the top and you got a dome that can reflect light, this is probably not the treatment for you. Coming into step 3 of my hair protocol, and it's actually the step I'm in right now where I'm noticing the most results, which is why I wanted to make this video, is strengthen and thicken the hair. After you're done stem cell microneedling, you're gonna have a lot of baby hairs coming out. You might even need multiple treatments. But if your hair still looks weak, brittle, and damaged, even though it's growing back, it doesn't really look that good. So for me, I wanted to get the hair that I had when I was younger, where it's flowy, wavy, it has all the nice look to it. There's a few things you got to follow. One of the biggest difference makers for me, and you guys heard me talk about it in depth in my other video, is GHK-Cu. Now, if you are new to this peptide and you don't know how to use it, I've got a full video on it. You can click it, it's in the description. It's going to teach you everything about how to use GHK-Cu, the proper way to get the most results out of it. If you don't know already, GHK-Cu is a copper derivative. It is really good at clearing out old damaged collagen and helping produce new collagen. This stuff works incredibly well when it is used properly. You cannot just take this stuff on its own. This is where everybody messes it up. If you don't get the results from GHK copper, it's because you didn't do these 2 things. Number 1 is feeding it collagen. Your hair is mostly made up of keratin, protein, and collagen, both of which you can get from a collagen supplement. I use specifically marine collagen because it absorbs in the body a little bit better, and I got way better results with it. So when you're feeding the GHK and you want it to strengthen your hair, you've got to give it some of the collagen, because what it's going to look to do first is remove the old, dead, and damaged collagen. But if there's nothing new to give it, it's just going to keep removing all the old crap. So you got to feed the beast. And in doing so, your body will make more keratin and collagen. And lastly, you have to include vitamin C. Collagen does not bind without vitamin C. A lot of people, the same thing happens. They look for the GHK, they look for the collagen, they're like, okay, I'm doing all my supplements, but there's no binding process. It's like being a welder, getting all your heavy metals and things that you're gonna weld together, but not actually having the tool to do the welding. That's your vitamin C. If there's any welders on this page, I would love to know the name of that tool so I can sound a lot cooler in the future. So think of it like this. The GHK is the builder, the collagen are the bricks, and the vitamin C is like the cement to hold them all together. So by this point, you have stopped your hair from falling out, you have effectively regrown it, and now you're strengthening it to look and feel the way that you want it to feel, to have that flow of natural, thick hair. This is the exact process that worked for me from start to finish. I would say this entire process took about 6 months, and that was with a lot of errors and stuff in between. I think people can get really positive results in a 4 to 5 month range if they do this properly and just follow the protocol. So try this for yourself. As I said, the most important thing in the beginning is finding out how you can stop your hair from falling out. For me, it was the ketoconazole shampoo. If that doesn't work for you, jump to something like finasteride or try other methods to stop it from falling out. Then you want to regrow. For me, it was stem cell microneedling. I've also had success from the little derma rollers. That can be a good way to pair with the stem cell therapy to make sure everything's still growing. And lastly is you're gonna wanna strengthen that new hair. And when you bring all these 3 things together, you should see the same hair that you saw when you were in your teens, 20s, and when you had your luscious flowing hair and were getting all the girls. Don't worry, we'll get you back to normal. If you're interested in this kind of content and you like learning ways to optimize the human body, this is everything I go over on this page, top to bottom. Hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and tell me in the comments what you want to optimize next, and I will go over it with you guys. We'll see you in the next one.